Hey everyone, welcome back to Signature Agent Service Podcast. So excited that you are back for our second episode and you are in for a treat today. I want to do a quick introduction to the two incredible ladies we have today, Kristin Johnson and Nikki Dishneau. They are both powerhouse women, moms, and genuinely just the most amazing people you can meet, and knew once we started this podcast that they had to be on here to talk about being powerhouse women, about doing it all, and just get real about what it's like running a big business. So without further ado, I would love to bring to the stage Kristin Johnson and Nikki.
Hello.
Hi, Savannah.
Hi, how are you two today?
Good. Thanks for having us.
Of course. All right, so let's get warmed up a little bit. How about each of you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into our questions.
My name is Nikki, and I've been in business for a little over 12 years. Started in Alaska and then been in Colorado for 8 years. I have two little girls. They're 9 and 11, and they keep me on my toes. And then we also have a team. There is 4 agents, and then me and Brent. Brent is my operations manager. And yeah, we're just growing and loving Colorado.
Love it. Awesome.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Kristin Johnson. I am a mortgage loan officer with Cross Country Mortgage. I have been in business just over 25 years. I also have a team, and I got 2 teenagers, speaking of keeping you on your toes. And yeah, so I've been lending in Colorado for the whole time, and a majority of my business is in Northern Colorado.
Love it. Awesome. All right, so before we get serious, I want to know what your guys' mornings look like right now. They say, super successful people have these beautiful morning routines and that it's just like this most serene thing. And let's get real. Like, what do the mornings look like?
So I love reading, and Miracle Morning is one of my favorite books, and I wish that my morning looked like the Miracle Morning. But I have 2 children. I'm not a great morning person, so it's a little chaotic but organized. So it's good. I enjoy at least 10 minutes of quiet time with my tea, or if I have to get the girls out and go to an appointment right away, which is most Mondays and Tuesdays, I listen to a podcast or always listening to a book while I'm on the go, just growing. But mornings are so important to me, just getting up and spending time with the girls, reading and getting the day started. I'm an affirmation girl and always am like on the positive side. So I think mornings are very important, even though I'm not a morning person. Kristin is a super morning person. So when you get her emails at 4:30 in the morning, she could take it off on how great of a morning person she is.
Maybe I would say that chaos is definitely still in the picture. Mine's a little bit more controlled chaos in the morning, I feel like. In my world, a lot of things just in the evenings happen that I don't really have control of. There's a lot of, things after work. There's so many events, there's sports, there's practice, there's all that kind of stuff. And then all these things happen where people are changing what they're doing on their loans and things like that. So what I find is that I run out of time in the evenings. And so in the morning, I have to get up really early. I have to get a huge majority of my day done before literally even getting the kids out of bed and stuff like that. And I know that they're older, but it's still a thing. I set an alarm, not for just when I wake up, but for everything that I do. So it's all the way down from waking up to when I get in the shower to when they get up and just all the things. So I like to get probably about an hour and a half of emails and computer work done in the morning before the phone starts blowing up. And so that's what I do. And I would say that, again, without getting that done by, before 8:30 in the morning, I would never make it through the day.
I get that though too. And I think especially once you have kids, especially once you have kids, it's definitely harder. because you want to be present for the morning. And so how do you kind of balance getting some of that computer work done, especially when a lot of the job is that forward facing with clients?
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
Awesome. This is a fun question. So what is one thing people assume that you have figured out behind the scenes, but you actually don't? Because, this one, the questions I looked at it, I was like, do I want to ask that one? But I was like, you know what? This one's fun. One's real. Like, what do people assume?
Literally went to a networking event the other day, and they're like, watching you on social media, you just seem like you have it all together and balanced. And yeah, that's not the case. It is, especially in real estate, being on the go all the time. You don't know when you're going to get that phone call or what's going to happen. Also having children, and my girls do horseback riding. So if we have a event on the weekend or something comes up, like something just came up this Sunday that they had to be out there, I have an appointment, and you just have to kind of go with the flow. And no one's perfect, and no one has this perfect calendar. It can look pretty and it's all color coordinated and all that, but it doesn't mean that you always follow it. And so it's just a roller coaster ride of up and down. So I think mine is definitely that you have it balanced, and what they see in social media, that everything is just grand.
It's true. I would say that definitely the one thing I know people say to me all the time, is like, it looks like you just do a really good job of balancing and taking care of yourself. I don't take care of myself at all. I have a not great diet. I do not exercise. I barely exercise. Putting anything that I need to do, you should see my nails right now. I'm glad you can't see my nails right now. And so I think it's that kind of stuff. Like, I feel like everything gets handled, right? Everybody is out the door. Everybody's good to go. I have 2 dogs. My dogs are the most spoiled things in the world. And I can tell you, I spend a half an hour more in the morning letting them in and out and giving them treats than I do getting myself ready and taking care of myself. So I definitely need to work on some of the things for me.
And I think that's like the biggest misconception, especially as people are growing, is that they think that, oh, it's just because they have a balanced life, like they have it figured out, it's put together. And something that in one of the courses I teach, we talk about is this counterbalance, right? Like, you're always counterbalancing. There's no such thing as balance at all, especially in this industry, because you can get a call any second to go show a home or go on a listing appointment. And yes, you shouldn't be a Pop-Tart agent or a Pop-Tart lender, but at the same time, business still has to be handled, speed to lead. So finding what you're comfortable saying yes to and what you're going to say no to, and then also having those non-negotiables on your calendar, right? Like family events, friend events, whatever those are.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So let's talk about burnout. So in this industry, I know that there can be a lot of moving pieces, right? And some weeks you're just completely on the go. How do you either avoid burnout, or have you been through burnout? And what did that kind of look like getting to the other side of it?
Yes, on the burnout. So going from Alaska on a team, everything was really structured, going great, to then moving to Colorado and being independent, and learning, having to do all the systems, having to get a whole business organized, and having 2 small children. I was going through a divorce and all the fun things. So my burnout was burning the candle at both ends for sure, because I was determined not to fail. And having great people around you to help bring that up. Like Kristin definitely believed in me when you're crying and saying, I can't do this anymore. So just having the right people around you, I think, is very important. But that was my big burnout moment, that I knew I kind of needed to step back and figure out a balance.
Yep. I know those days. I remember my biggest burnout. It was probably 15 years ago. And it was a Friday afternoon, and I got a call from the manager of the mortgage company that I worked for, and he said, "Hey, I just need to talk to you for a little bit, and this will be quick." And he said, "But we need to talk about like some of your files and how they're being turned in." And I just started bawling. I literally just had an entire meltdown, and I said, "I need to stop. I can't do this anymore. I don't even know what's going on. I'm exhausted. I can't keep up on things. Everything is just really, really out of control." And when you do just want to get to that point where you're like, "I need to stop everything." So I did. So I stopped everything that I was doing when it came to business, and I hired a coach. And it was really hard for me to do that, but it was life-changing. And I learned that one of the reasons that I was burning out so much is because I was trying to get everything done quickly. I was trying to get everything done. Now it had to be like every single thing answered, even if it didn't have a time crunch on it. Even if it didn't, I was just like, I can do this because I'm a powerhouse, and it doesn't matter if I have a little kid, and it doesn't matter all the things and all the volume, it's getting done. And that means that you start cutting corners naturally, right? And so I figured out that cutting corners actually creates more work and going back to things and all of that. So I spent a whole month of the year, and I just said, this is stopping. And I had a really, really good coach that said, this is how you have to break this down. So if anybody wants to ever go over what I learned through that month, I'm happy to do it because it was life-changing.
Awesome. Well, and I'm sure part of that, and this leads to the next thing, is setting some boundaries. And so what does boundaries kind of look like in your guys' today's lives to help you run mega teams? And I know you're laughing, Nikki, because you don't think sometimes, but I'm like, you totally do. You know what to say no to. So what does that kind of look like for you guys for those boundaries?
I think my biggest thing was I wanted to do it all. I wanted to do the contracts. I'm doing the marketing. I'm doing the client care, the database, just everything. And thank you for having a transaction coordinating service, because getting a TC was life-changing. It just was like, wow. And then getting an assistant, then asking for help. Hey, I can't do a showing on Sunday because I'm spending time with the girls or my family or whatever. Taking those times and saying, I'm going to spend time with my family. Now, I would love to say that every night at 7:00, I turn off my phone and say no. I try, and I do a terrible job at it. So just learning and continuing to grow, putting one foot in front of the other, and learning from your mistakes, and delegating, and learning to trust others.
I think that's the biggest part, is trusting others. And I think that's the hardest thing too, when you're so in control of your files and looking at everything and doing everything, and you set it a certain way. Like, how have you been able to kind of let that trust or ability to let go of some things to other people?
I would say I have been burned by people, and it is hard to regain that retrust, but you have to learn that that's a you thing, and trusting yourself. And you're going to make mistakes and like fail forward, instead of holding yourself back and saying, you know what, I made a bad hire. This didn't work out, and now I'm never going to do that again. It is learning from your failures and continuing to move forward. And I love that saying, fail forward, because if you're not moving forward and you're not failing, then you're not going to be successful.
I think sometimes too, failure leads to that breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you and I just ironically had this conversation last week too. It's like sometimes when everything seems super rough and these lessons are happening around you, that really it's leading up to a major breakthrough.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. I think the piece with boundaries that I learned a few years ago, maybe more, is that it's about communication, and everybody is just wanting to know information, right? And so if you have something that comes in and you say, tonight I am hosting my parents' 60th wedding anniversary dinner with my whole family. You know what people say? Oh, this isn't a rush. I don't even need any information from you for a few weeks or whatever, right? And it's just doing things like that. And instead of trying to respond and sitting at a dinner table, texting people just portions, and really quick answers and stuff like that, well, then people think that, well, gosh, she's available, but she's not really answering my questions and things like that. So I always just think that just being open and honest. And sometimes people say, hey, this is going to be something that we have to do right now. So then you can do it. But I think the boundaries also, for me, really, really were about more of prioritizing what needs to be done, right? And so if you think about the information that people want from us or what it looks like if somebody says that they're writing an offer, they're going through an inspection and they need a closing cost or something like that, and they need that right now, then that's fine. But if you can eliminate some of the other, just things that you have to do and taking phone calls and stuff like that, or getting on your computer, it just doesn't take as much of your personal time, right? And then so you can actually have things that you've already done. And sometimes they say, hey, I would love to get a break from my family that I just carved out time to be with, just because, if you have everything kind of broken down, I think it's so much easier.
Right. So next question then for you guys, what did it look like when your business started taking off? When did you know you needed leverage? How did that kind of go? And I know, Nikki, you said you got, burnt a few times, obviously lessons learned through that. Kind of what does that looking for leverage piece look like for you now? And yeah.
It's messy, right? At the beginning, it's just messy and you don't know, it's overwhelming. And I think of it as baking a cake. So when you're making a cake, you've got the eggs, you've got the flour, everything is super messy. But after you bake it, you have to clean up, but then you have a yummy cake, right? As long as you're a good baker. But I think the main thing is everybody thinks it's about hustle, hustle, hustle. And it is, but it goes back to communication. It really goes back to communicating what you need, talking to your clients, telling them what is important to you, but staying in your lane. One of my coaches, I think coaching is a huge thing too. It's like when you're getting overwhelmed and you don't know what to do, coaching, but leaning on each other. So I have learned so much from Kristin and her systems and what she does with her team. When I'm freaking out, she'll say, how about you try this? So again, communication, but staying in your sandbox, like staying in your lane and knowing what you need to do, and then learning to delegate that one thing at a time, training that person. I've had somebody come in and I'm like, you can take care of it. It's good. That did not work out. You have to do small steps, train them the way they are. And that takes time and it's frustrating, but you want to do it correctly.
Yeah, I think systems is the main thing right there. So, when your business does start taking off, I think that there's always can I afford an assistant? Do I need one? What is this going to do? That's the main question that I get from everybody all the time is, when did you form a team? When did you start paying? And it was scary, right? So I did everything by myself all the time. I mean, till midnight every night. And then if you're going to do this, if it's long game, you're really going to treat this as your career, not just a job, then obviously it has to be a marathon, not a sprint, right? And so I remember the day I said, all right, it's time. It's time for me to be able to pay somebody else. I know that I'm going to make less money and I'm okay with that right now. And we all know what happens, right? You end up paying for somebody, but you do more business, so you actually aren't losing money. I think that's the one thing. Nikki and I do talk about this too. It is having just like expectations of what's going to work. And is a part-time person going to be something, or do you need full-time, or just kind of figuring out how your business is, because in real estate and lending, it is not, like we said, it's not 8 to 5 and it's not structured throughout the day. And so systems are my favorite thing, systems and checklists and everything like that. Like, ask my team. We are going to get a new checklist from Kristin every Monday. We're going to tweak something a little bit, but I'm just so huge into the systems.
Well, and then it brings consistent value to your people and they know what to expect. And it isn't running around with your hair on fire going, oh, when is that do we need to send this? Did someone send this? Like that's when chaos. And I think especially if you're building a team, that's where breakdown happens, is when you don't have a checklist and who's responsible for what, right? And then someone doubles up on a task, or tasks are not done because someone assumed someone else was doing it. So systems are definitely important.
That's right. Anytime something's done twice or 0 times instead of 1 and 1, we're back to checklist. So
my checklists are kindergarten, like send this email,
Yes.
send a card, like down to the T, because every little thing does matter.
Yeah. And Kristin, I want to get back to a point, and I know this wasn't necessarily something that we had put on the thing, but when you said it's a marathon, not a sprint, I full-heartedly agree with that. And I think what people don't realize until they're starting to feel that burnout or start thinking about it is when they want to step out of this business. Like, I don't think everyone plans to be a real estate agent till they're 99. I could be wrong. Yet, Nikki's like, I do. I don't know what you're talking about. Yet, I think there's something to be said about having that team, or figuring out where the leverage is or how to scale your business so it fits your lifestyle that you plan down the road. So knowing that you're running that marathon after 25 years in the business, how does that kind of looking now? Like what things are you tweaking? Where do you see real estate agents making a mistake after they've been doing it for 25 years?
No, that's on you. I haven't been 25 years.
I would say that the one thing again is like, not everything that you have, not every idea has to be done today, right? Mm-hmm. So it is about just planning and saying, again, prioritizing. So for me, it's really like, I'm probably going to be doing this till I'm 90, right? And so I think that it's just saying, what are the best things to do? So you can't just all of a sudden say, hey, today I am going to go into a whole new thing that I just learned about. I went to an event last week and it was so great, and I'm just going to implement that. So I'm going to stop what I'm doing, right? So I'm a calendar person. So my calendar, same thing, is super intense. It's super crazy. It is the daily things. It is the weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. I mean, literally you could look at my calendar and I have things on it for 9 months from now. It's things like that. So I think it's like just keeping on track with what you're doing. I say that there's things that you just don't stop doing because you want to implement something. So time blocking is a really cliche thing. I know that that's just, we all say time blocking, but it's really what you have to do. And I think that you can also then learn what's not working. So it's like we figure out what's working in our business and we figure out what's not, and then you can replace new things. And it's ever changing, right? And our market is different all the time. We don't just work in a business where it's always the same. So we have to pivot a lot. But I think that just thinking forward versus just what's happening right now is probably the best way to do that.
And I would say I am a squirrel. And when I see new shiny things, I get super excited. So like having people around you. So like my operations manager, this is our quarter, this is what we're doing. And then we're going to put it on a list of all the things, all your ideas and things like that. And then the next quarter, we're going to say, do we want to implement in this in the next quarter or not? Again, the market is always changing. Like every 3 months. It's different. Week by week, month by month, it changes. So you do have to kind of shift things. And so you have to be okay with change, but not, hey, we just went to a conference and I'm like, I want to do it all. Yep. Right. And so I have to back up and say, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to start this in January. Mm-hmm. And then in January, if that's still top priority, then we can implement it. If it's not, then we don't have to do that.
Yep.
And I love that your ops assistant is actually, or manager is keeping you in check with that, because you're a visionary, right? Like you see the bigger picture, you're willing to go the extra mile, and you need that, especially in this business. It's a little bit of optimistic in you. And I think that's what makes you such a great agent. And yet sometimes there are ideas that's like, okay. And by putting it on that list, then it allows you to go, okay, if this isn't mentioned again in the next quarter, it's probably not important. Or if the market has changed enough, then we can just get rid of this and discard this idea. Because sometimes, like you said, the squirrel, like the shiny thing, you're like, this is awesome. And yet we need to step back and go, okay, is this actually my business?
Yeah.
Right. Do the systems. And you just said the word ideas 3 times, because in sales, that's what we do. We come up with ideas. And I think that it is just like writing it down. I come up with ideas mostly at 3 a.m. Those are my ideas. And I think, or sometimes sitting around with friends, we're like, oh my gosh, we just had this like really great idea for doing that thing. And yeah, I think it is what's really a good idea, what's maybe something that seemed like a good idea at the moment. And so again, write them down, go through things, have your lists, look at all of them, take time to sit down and say like, oh my gosh, I had all these ideas. Well, I can't do them all. There's not a way to be able to do all the things that you have an idea for. And so having the people to sit down like with a team, or going over, I sit with my branch manager all the time and our business development manager, and we say, hey, we have this idea. I would say that we probably implement about a quarter of them.
Mm-hmm.
So it is just really like saying, it's just kind of like, I don't know, I have a 4-hour rule when it comes to doing things, sending emails, responding to things or whatever. So like probably I would say my ideas, I would say that that's more like a 48-hour rule, is if it really still seems like something good to do in 48 hours, then maybe you'll implement it.
I like it. Awesome. Okay. So next question for you both is balancing it all, right? Being a mom, doing it all. What are maybe some things, especially coming from womanhood? This was the hardest thing that I had to adjust to after having my daughter, is handling this like CEO boss lady, but also being home, and sometimes the external pressures that come from society about ideally what maybe we should be doing. How have you guys kind of worked your mindset around this, and how are you finding this counterbalance to everything?
For women especially, I think as a mom, we have mom guilt, right? And it's never, if we're at work, we think we should be with our kids. And if we're with the kids, we think we should be at work. It's just a normal thing. So I have implemented some small things, and like with my girls, we set a timer when I'm putting them to sleep, 5-10 minutes, depending on what we're doing, where I'm listening to them at night. We're going to bed, listening. And that's just something that is important, where it helps with my mom guilt. I get to hear what they're doing. We do dinner together as a family. So having that mom guilt and talking to the girls, mom has to work. When I'm in front of my computer, I'm so sorry. But just the small little things of when they come home from school, taking that small amount of time, they're over me after 10 minutes, right? But if you take that time and say, hey, I'm listening to you, how can I help? They'll talk to you, and then they're done with you. And they want to go out, they want to go to the park, they want to play, but they also want mom. It's been a hard day sometimes for them, So I think adding with the mom and the business, after bedtime, do I come downstairs and still work? Yes. I'm supposed to have a boundary of not taking my computer to bed. And sometimes I don't want to walk downstairs, walk back upstairs, so my computer's in my bed. Again, working on that and boundaries and not doing that. But I think just trying to really not have the guilt, and you don't need to have it all figured out.
Yeah. Back to the coaching thing. Quick story is, well, first and foremost, I went back to work on day 4 with my son. He was 4 days old when I started working again. So that was fun. But, and I just had to figure out a way to say, like, I am not going to lose and miss out on every single moment. Right. So like rolling over was a video for me, right? The first time swimming in a pool, that was a video. It was a FaceTime if we had it way back then or whatever. So, I definitely had to figure some of those things out because I worked so much. And my coach said, well, tell me what your day looks like, right? So like, what time do you get up, and like, when do you take your kid to daycare, and things like that. And she said, well, here's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start this tomorrow. And she said, how far is your drive to daycare? And I was like, 7 minutes. And she said, well, your phone is going to go in the back of your car. It's where you cannot reach it, and you're going to turn it on silent. And for 14 minutes a day, when you drop off and you pick up, there's no phone. And I said, okay, well, that's going to probably be nothing. It's only 7 minutes. So this is going to be a really like bad exercise. And on our next coaching call, I was bawling again, because the next morning I did that, and I had about 15 seconds of silence in the car without my phone. And I started talking to my 2.5-year-old, and wow, he had a lot of things to say. And it was the craziest thing. I learned more in the first 7 minutes of doing that exercise about my child than I had in 3 years knowing him. And so it was a really good, bad day. I felt really guilty. Speaking of the mom guilt, I could almost cry right now thinking about it. And I could not wait to pick him up. And so another thing that she told me is, she said, is you're not going to go pick him up early today. You are going to get more done so that when you pick him up, you're more present again. And so I think it's about not just us. Like, so would I feel better as a mom if I was around him? Well, yeah, but not if I was not being present with him and talking with him. Kids don't want that. They would rather have you finish your work and pick them up and be present. So that was definitely, one of those times in life as a mom that I learned a lot. And I'm not saying I'm really great at it all the time, but I try.
And I want to say, so my girl, when I called Kristin one day and I'm like, I feel so bad when I pick up the girls or driving, it was a 20-minute drive. And I'm like, I'm on the phone immediately. And so she told me the story. So I started doing it with the girls, and it made a huge difference. Now they're walking to school and it's like 3 minutes. So that's where we started doing the bedtime and after school, taking those moments. So I just think the thing is you don't have to be perfect, and don't shrink for anyone. And your kids are going to look up to you for living your dreams, but taking that time to also listen to them and see what their dreams are.
Yeah. And back to the communication piece is that here's what I learned. Instead of just saying, shh, mommy's working, is communicate with your child about what you're doing, why you have to do it, why it's important to do it, just how they're important, right? And so I now have boys who really understand why I do what I do. It's not just because I'm working, right? And so I think communicating that to them is, instead of just saying I'm working, because that's not really what a kid wants to hear, right? But if you explain what you're doing and have them ask questions about, why am I calling somebody right now when I'm with them, is then they would start understanding that. So it's just like anything, whether you communicate with a client or a business partner or, anything like that, communicate with your kids.
That's crazy. Do the same thing that you do for everyone else to your kids. It does make a world of difference. I mean, with my 3-year-old, just even telling her, hey, mommy has to do this right now. This is what helps you play soccer or swim lessons or dance. It's like, okay, this is why. And yet being intentional and setting that time aside also.
Right.
Awesome.
I agree.
Other question for you guys. What is something that you are personally proud of outside of work? What is maybe your biggest accomplishment personally?
Outside of work?
Outside of work.
Back to that no balance.
I will say this year, I started doing self-care. Like, I got my nails done and taking time once a month to do a day. I mean, not that I don't text when I'm getting my nails done, but at least I get my nails done. My nail lady actually got a holder for my phone because I can't touch it, so she can help me. But I'm still getting my nails done. So taking more self-care. I am doing more, even if it's 10 minutes in the morning, and doing just things that I want. If it's a massage, doing more self-care, even at the small things. And it's usually once a month that I'm taking a day to do that for myself. So I'm really proud of myself for doing that this year and actually holding to it.
And
Start
that's
Yeah.
that's so important though, because I think what people don't realize, it's like, especially as women, we're very giving, right? We take care of everyone else first. Yet if we don't take care of ourselves, that's when the wheels really start falling off of everything, your business, your personal life, friendships, relationships. And it all ties back to being able to take care of ourselves at the end of the day, even if it is 10 minutes. Because if we're not taking care of us, then how are we able to refill and be able to take care of everyone else? It's impossible at that point.
Yeah, it is. And I think little things. So if anybody knows me, they know I don't miss baseball games.
Yeah.
So that is the thing. And I said to myself many years ago, if I start saying, oh, I'll just miss this weekend and I'm going to miss them all. Then I'm going to pretty soon, I'm not going to be involved. I'm not going to care if I miss one and things like that. So I can tell you there are very few baseball games I have missed in 10 years. And that's just what it is. And sometimes they're on Fridays and sometimes they're on Wednesdays throughout the summer if we have big tournaments and things like that. And, you know, the beauty of what we do is we can work in so many different places, right? And so we know we'll put in several hours, evenings, weekends, and things like that. And so I don't feel guilty anymore when I miss things for work for baseball games, because I'm not going to do that. So that's one thing that I can say is that being a boy mom and a little bit outnumbered in my world is that I'm still part of the pack, right? So because I've chosen to do that, because I see so many parents just kind of fall off of that and they're not included anymore. They don't really know what's going on with something like that. And then they kind of get left behind, in my opinion. So I have not done that and or allowed anything to do that. And if that means that, you know, somebody wants to do an open house on a Sunday, I say it's championship day. Like that's not going to happen for me. And I do have a team though that helps with things like that or whatever. But now everybody just knows like, hey, Kristin's most likely at a baseball game.
And I love it, her boundaries on that. Like it's, I have a question and she's like at the baseball game and we all understand. She'll get to it afterwards. Like,
Yeah.
she's with her son and that's important.
It's usually like, hey, give me a half an hour or something like that. You know what I mean? And so
Unless it's Nikki, then it's that.
She communicates it, which is important. Communication is important. And that's where, you know, she communicates it and it's like, I'm okay. I'm just going to tell the clients, like, give it an hour, you know, your dentist
just an
wants
hour.
an appointment, but it works.
I love it. Now for professional, what are you guys most proud of in your professional world?
I would say culture.
Mm.
I am big. Our motto is clients over commission. But we also have a great team, and not only in our agents, but like having Kristin, having the title company, having our insurance, like bringing it as a team and building a culture that is about putting clients over commission and actually it's not about the commission. It's about building relationships. It's about the connection. It's about caring for people in one of the biggest moments of their lives. And so I would say that would be my proudest moment as business is, even when we get big and everything, is really holding on true to the culture and caring for people after 12 years of doing this, not letting the care go.
I would say she's probably the best that I know in doing that. You know how real estate agents bring big gifts to closing tables to their clients, while clients bring gifts to her at closing. Which is super fantastic. And so I learn from her all the time on that. You know, again, it doesn't always matter like how long you've been doing business, right? It's just like how you're continuing to do things and things like that. I think that I would say the number one thing is that I know that people trust me. And that is the one thing that we're always trying to do in business, right? Is say like, I want that person to be able to trust me with anything. And sometimes it's getting a deal closed, and sometimes it's, good customer service, but sometimes maybe it's just with being that person and that referral partner with somebody to know that they can trust that you are going to help them, and to know that there's trust there that you are always going to do the right things for your relationship and things like that. So I would say that's a big one. And also I feel like my team trusts me.
And something I love about that is I feel comfortable with clients. Like, hey, if you have to do credit repair, or if you're buying $1 million home, like, it's what are they comfortable? And Kristin respects that also. But I'm like, if you need to do something, Kristin's going to tell you the truth. She's not going to push you one way or the other. She's going to give you knowledge and see what you want. She listens. So not only can you trust her, but she also listens to you. She listens to your clients and goes beyond your expectations. And that's something I love about her.
Oh, I love that. You two are adorable. And I think one thing, and I know that I didn't prepare you guys for this, so off the top of your head, I think part of this is just, I want people to understand the kind of size of business that you guys are running. So tell me a little bit about your business, where it's kind of at this year, or maybe over the past few years, and how you guys are running these incredible large businesses.
This year I've done 32 plus deals. I don't really know. See, that's another thing, is my numbers I should know. We just got one under contract together.
Love it.
And did about 13 million so far this year, and planning on doubling that. That is actually just me. That's not the team.
Right. I was going to say that is just, not the team.
It's me.
Yeah.
But
what
was that?
You're dual licensed too. So you are in Colorado and Wyoming also.
Yeah. So doing both states. And this year we are really with the team laying the foundation to kill it next year. So when you are laying that foundation, I feel like you kind of have a halt, but it is so worth it. And I just can't believe it's November already. Honestly, I just look at the calendar. I'm like, how? This is insane. So I really think that, I don't know, this year has just been crazy, good, growth oriented. I got to partner with Elena Cardone and been surrounded with Lisa Copeland and Haas Pratt, and laying the foundation. I decided that I want to, not just on a local level, but get around people that are way more systemized and running teams and billionaires. And how do you get around growth mindset? Like, when you outgrow your pond that you're in, if you're a big fish in your pond, then you need to move to a different pond. And I always want to stay the smallest fish in a pond and grow around the people. And so I think just being around growth mindset people was my goal this year, and I accomplished that goal. And so I'm ready to take on what they're teaching me to go to the next level.
I love that.
She's doing a great job.
Yes.
Well, we all know that the business it's been pretty challenging, if we will, over the last few years. I think everybody knows that, not a secret. I would say that we've done a good job on my team over the last year to stay focused, right? So we're always in the top 1% of the nation for volume. I think we've done 32 million year to date. Had 2 closings this morning before this, and going fast, doing things. What I can say about that is same thing. It's surrounding yourselves by the right people, right? And so part of this might be an answer to another question that you have, is that being really flexible and being able to make moves to be able to do that, right? So if you're in an environment where people are negative and everybody's saying oh my gosh, this market and everything, then that's what you're going to be, right? Mm-hmm. You get up in the morning, you're like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to follow the things on my calendar and my checklists and my systems and all that kind of stuff. But if people are negative around you, it makes that really hard to do, right? So everybody knows I work in an environment with people who are very positive,
Yes.
who are uplifting to each other, who are always, again, into the ideas, moving forward. I just spent last week at a sales rally, and I can say that everybody, they're just genuinely good people, want the best for clients, but also just like, how do we maneuver through this market? Like, what are things that we're going to do? And being around people who say, hey, here's an idea. This is something that could help clients, who could help real estate agents. I don't spend all my time sitting in front of my laptop working and texting people. I'm out helping people. Love doing things together. Like Nikki and I will do broker opens and things like that. So those are the things that I think just make it more fun too.
And it's interesting to hear, because this has been one of the hardest years in real estate, they're saying. I've been watching all the news reports starting to drop, because it's
in 25 years, they said this is the roughest market.
And yet for you too, I feel like, yes, maybe it's been more challenging, right? Some deals, it's like your army crawling to the finish line. Yet you guys are still making it happen. And I think it has to do a lot around mindset. So tell me kind of about your mindset around the success that you're having with that. Like why does it start with mindset?
I really think that's the biggest thing. It's just like who you surround yourself with. And that is why this year was like, hey, we're going into a rough year and all of this. I'm like, my goal was, I'm not going to put myself around that. I'm going to remove myself from that and go to people that are going to continue killing it and help you go through it. So like having weekly meetings and learning from and being in the right mindset. I always say, when people say something, oh, the negative, I'm like, but on the positive side, and people get so annoyed, and my girls are always like, on the positive side, but they say it now too. And in this time when people are down, I have little awesome cards that I hand out. And people are having a bad day, and I think what we put out is what we get back in.
Yes.
And so when you're out and about and somebody's rude to you, I had a waiter the other day that was just so mean. And so I just stopped him and said, hey, are you having a bad day? Like, what's going on? And I gave him an awesome card. And I said, it's a Friday night. You're totally slammed right now. And I'm sorry that I'm being annoying and asking for something, but here's an awesome card for helping. And he just paused, took a deep breath. And I was just like, hey, like, what's going on? He's like, I usually don't do this. I'm usually managing. Somebody called in. I'm having to do this. So I think instead of being mad and not enjoying my dinner, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to let you do that to me. So like, what's wrong? So I just think in everything that you do, don't worry, I did ask if he was buying, selling, or investing in real estate, and I gave him a card. But the main thing is listening to people and keeping the mindset in all areas of life, and really taking that time to breathe, take a deep breath in. Why are we frustrated? What's going on? And is this the end of the world? No, like we're all so blessed where we are right now. And so you really have to look at on the positive side, really have to look at the positive things and keep that around you and put those people around you.
Right. We all know gratitudes. I think that that's something that's just been going on. I can say that I do gratitudes every single day. But more importantly, I do a lot of reality checks. Just when you think like, oh, things are bad because I have to get all these things done. And how am I going to get all these done? I say, wait a minute. Do you know how many people in our industry don't have anything to do this week? Oh, that's right. They're trying to look for something to do or a deal to work on or something like that. So I try to spin it like that and say, wow, this is great that I have no clue how I'm going to get everything done today. I get to do all these things today. That's another thing. But again, some of these reality checks about what other people maybe have to go do for a job or something like that. So I try to flip that just a little bit when it comes to that. And I think that Nikki said it best earlier, it's who you're surrounding yourself with, right? I mean, you can choose to be in whatever club, and some coaching that I'm doing right now, she says, so shout out to Kim Tomlinson, she says, what do you want your club to look like, right? So if you're going to be going to Club Kristin tonight and you're going to be hanging out, what does that look like? What's the vibe? How does that feel? That's something that I try to do every day. And again, being around the people that we work with now, one of the reasons I went to work at Cross Country with Sarah Dick is because she's always really good about being that person. And that's been really helpful for me.
She's the connector of connector. Like she is. Shout out to Sarah Dick. She's amazing. We'll have to have her on soon.
Soon.
So last question for you guys as we wrap up here, a piece of advice. Let's say if it was your first year in the business or something that you wish you knew when you started, because even if you're seasoned in this business, I think everyone has such a different perspective when they get into the business about what helped them get out of that living to deal. What is that piece of advice you would give someone?
Just believe in yourself. I would say don't stop. Surround yourself with the right people. Mm-hmm. Continue learning. Never stop learning, because when you stop learning, you're not going to go anywhere. So continuing to be the education on like the best in your industry, and always growing, like take one step at a time. Consistency, time blocking. It's like I think getting back to the basics of like Ninja 9. When I was at KW, it was doing Bold and Ignite. A lot of the Ninja stuff is just sending out cards, caring for people, sticking to the basics. Even when that's another thing this year. It's like, we're just like, what are the basics? Let's get to the basics and lay a good foundation. And it is so hard. Your first year is just, I say, if like with the agents that have come on the team that are new, it's do your CE credits now, learn, and continue learning and implementing, but stay consistent and love people, build good relationships. I don't know if that was a good answer, but
it is. It's amazing. It is true.
I would say that if I were to give advice, the number one thing would be is that you are your own competition. And if you worry about yourself and not everybody else, it's going to do so much for you. You want to do better than you did yesterday. It's not about what somebody else did. It's not about who has a closing or who's doing what or who's working with other people. It's just like you're your own competition. Yeah. And that would be the biggest thing. I wish somebody would have told me that on day one in 1999. And it would have been a really helpful thing for me to know, because I spent many years worrying about what other people were doing instead of what I was doing. And I think once you can really grasp that on your daily, everything that you're going to do, your routine and I just think it makes a huge difference.
And I'm still trying to figure out how you started when you were 1. I
know.
Like, what's the secret when you started in 1999? 1 year old, like that's incredible. Yes, it is. I love it. Well, thank you both so much for being here, and can't wait to watch you guys just kick butt in 2026, or in Nikki's word, killing it. We're gonna get a shirt that's saying "killing it." It's gonna be great. We're just gonna make a t-shirt series with all of our podcasts. It's gonna be awesome. Okay. But thank you both, and thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next month for our next podcast.
Thank you.